Coming up on an all-new edition of the Pro Wrestling Show, we go on the final stop to the road to WrestleMania with the Elimination Chamber 2020, where we have 7 matches, 4 championship matches, and a couple other more matches that's important as the road to WrestleMania hits its final stop with the Elimination Chamber. And also, hot topics, the latest in the daily news information from this past week. We have this and more. The all-new Pro Wrestling Show starts right now. Hello everyone, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Show again. I'm your host as always, Ken Dix here. Glad you can join us here on the Pro Wrestling Show. Man, oh man, as we do the special edition of WWE Elimination Chamber coming your way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Man, the final stop to the road to WrestleMania ends with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view event, and the Pro Wrestling Show got you covered. But first things first, join in the conversation using the hashtag Pro Wrestling here on Connect, and don't forget to use the hashtag Pro Wrestling. And subscribe. Subscribe is caring. Subscribe is caring. Tell a friend, call a friend, tell them the Pro Wrestling Show is on. And we here at the Pro Wrestling Show give you the latest news and information that what's going on in pro wrestling, because wrestling matters. And so we have our predicted outcome special with WWE Elimination Chamber. Let's get started. All right, let's get started with the first match on the Elimination Chamber. All right, men, you know that the SmackDown Tag Team titles will be on the line as The Miz and John Morrison will defend their titles inside the Elimination Chamber from the SmackDown brand, as Miz defend and John Morrison defend their titles against the New Day, consists of Kofi Kingston and Big E. Heavy Machinery consists of Otis and Tucker, Lucha House Party, Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik, Rude and Ziggler, and Jimmy and Jay the Uso. So these 6 teams vying to become the Blue Brands Tag Team Champions. Now, this past week on SmackDown was an impressive gauntlet match, or whatever you want to call it, tag team turmoil between these teams, where Heavy Machinery started the gauntlet and went against the New Day. You know, it was back and forth. New Day put in the fight. We thought it was going to be reminiscent of last year's gauntlet match where Kofi Kingston went through the gauntlet and went through the distance and came out victorious at WrestleMania and become WWE champion. This time around, this didn't happen as Tucker pinned Big E to thus New Day got eliminated. Next tag team come in was Lucha House Party. Lucha House Party put up a fight, but at the end, Lucha House Party was just, set aside. Many people were rumored to report that it was going to be the Revival. It was going to be in that spot with Lucha House Party, or Lucha House Party 1. But I think the Revival is already going to be done over with WWE. And WWE said, you know what, we'll get some other tag team other than y'all. We're just going to sit at home and wait till your contract expires, which does not all right for the former tag team champions, because many people believe the Revival are going to AEW down the road. So, unfortunately, that had to happen. Also, Heavy Machinery kept on the distance and kept through their endurance and their persistence. And they went through the Usos, and they just put a stunning upset against the Usos. And then, finally, it was the tag team champions, Miz and Morrison, Heavy Machinery, which I had thought Heavy Machinery was going to have a chance. But at the end, Heavy Machinery pulled up another upset against the tag team champions. Wow, Miz and Morrison didn't like that. They turned their backs and they attacked them, leaving the pickings for Rude and Ziggler, which, remember, Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, especially Dolph Ziggler and Otis, have a love-hate thing because they both love Mandy Rose, but they hate each other. But could this tag team keep it together? But at the end, Rude and Ziggler won the match, won the gauntlet, and now they will be the last remaining tag team to get out the pod. So Rude and Ziggler has enough time and energy saved to keep themselves from not going to the pod till the last minute. So Rude and Ziggler will be the last team going to that pod for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. You would have thought that this would have been a more advantage to the Tag Team Champions to gain the momentum since they won the belts merely 2 weeks ago. But since Rude and Ziggler are kind of into an in-between with heavy machinery, you have to wonder, does this make this a tag team title match down the road? I want to say Miz and Morrison will win, but it's going to be something where Mandy Rose will distract Otis, and I think Otis and them will lose focus, and Rude and Ziggler might beat them, but look for Miz and Morrison to remain and retain their World Tag Team titles on SmackDown. Wow. Speaking of that, the Intercontinental Championship is on the line in a 3-on-1 handicap match where Intercontinental Champion Braun Strowman defends his gold against 3 world-class wrestlers. Sami Zayn, who we haven't seen in action in a long time, Cesaro, and former champion Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, this past week on SmackDown, the NWO were a guest on Moment of Bliss, and things got unright as Zayn, Nakamura, and Cesaro interrupted the party, and they was talking about a new world order and wanted to get the spotlight back, but Braun Strowman came and saved the day, attacking all 3 men one by one, but Sami Zayn got away. Look for Braun Strowman to remain Intercontinental Champion, and he gets his hands on Sami Zayn. But, I liked it when Sami Zayn was a babyface a couple of years ago going against Braun Strowman. He didn't have a fighting chance, but he had fighting spirit and fighting heart. I wish they'd get back to that. But they're making Sami Zayn look like a coward when he was hiding behind Alexa Bliss. So look for Braun Strowman to remain Intercontinental Champion going forward. Also, speaking of championship matches, Alberto Carrillo challenges Andrade for the United States Championship. Now, Andrade returning back from his suspension. Now, Alberto Carrillo gets a shot at the United States Championship. Now, this past week on Raw was a tag team match where Andrade and Garza Jr. with Zelina Vega went against legendary Rey Mysterio and Alberto Carrillo. It was back like high flying action as you would expect. But I think I don't know who forgot one in that match. I think it was Alberto and Ray going for it. But I think it was Garza Jr. And Andrade. Yeah, Garza Jr. and Andrade. But since they had to do that punishment, I suspect we're going to have a new U.S. champion in Alberto Carrillo going forward. So Alberto Carrillo will become the new U.S. champion. And look for that match. You're going to be on the pre-show. I hate to say it. Hate to say that. And the Street Profits defend their new Raw Tag Team titles against former champions Murphy and the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. Now, this is coming from a rematch from this past week on Raw, where it was a now or never match where Murphy and Seth Rollins were the champions against the Street Profits. So it was now or never. Do or die. The Street Profits pull up the upset and won the match. The Street Profits are now the new Raw Tag Team champions. Man, that's great. It's a great feeling. But the Street Profits now have to defend their titles at Elimination Chamber against Murphy and Rollins. Expect that the Street Profits will retain their belts. I hope the Street Profits retain their belts. They won't be up in the smoke. So the Street Profits will retain their belts and stuff like that. So look on Street Profits. All right. This was our first half of WWE Elimination Chamber. Predict the outcome. When we return, we're going to have a hot topic in the second half of WWE Elimination Chamber card. This is the Pro Wrestling Show. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Show. We predict the outcome special for WWE Elimination Chamber. I'm your host as always, Kenny Dix here. Glad you can join us here. Don't forget to use the hashtag Pro Wrestling here on Connect and join in the conversation. But don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe is care because we care for you, the Pro Wrestling audience. Thank you all once again for watching. All right, we'll get to the second half of the predicted outcome later on. But first, let's get to hot topics. All right, hot topics this week. Man, oh man, the laundry list of hot topics coming up as the legendary Undertaker and his wife, legendary Michelle McCool, are unhappy with WWE. This all sparked when WWE celebrated Women's History Month with their former women's champions and their current women's champion. When Michelle McCool was excluded and Michelle McCool felt some type of way about it, the Undertaker got some heat with WWE officials, and now WWE has added on Michelle McCool to their Hall of Women Champions on their Celebrate Women History. WWE had to make a correction. I guess they got to look at everybody. Every woman who worked in WWE, put them on there. Put Moolah, oh God, what did I say that? But you know, that's how it be. But put Mae Young, all of them. Just make everybody happy. Please them. It's just Women's History Month. It'll be up just for 1 month and go on with next. Speaking of the Fabulous movie, many of you may recall the show Dark Side of the Ring, where season 1 covered a whole litany of wrestling legends such as Moolah, Devon Eriks, Gino Hernandez, Bruiser Brody, and a whole list of. Let's look at a special look at season 2 of the Dark Side of the Ring. Look at here.
I run the security for World Wrestling, and one of our wrestlers that lives down there is missing. Okay, what's his name? Chris Benoit.
The father killed his wife and son and then committed suicide.
Why did this happen? How did it happen?
If you're going to say I'm glorifying a murderer, stop listening now.
The secret was out of the bag. People want to know what really goes on behind the scenes.
Wrestling was a brotherhood. It was like being in the mafia.
Someone doesn't just fall from the top of an arena. Something went wrong.
There's a woman who yells to Stuka, "You goddamn murderer."
I stuck him like 9 times. I counted, it was 9.
There's nothing fake about guys breaking their bodies down.
The tails get taller and taller and bigger and better.
This is not something that does the public image of professional wrestling a world of good.
See right there, season 2 of Dark Side of the Ring coming out, and they're gonna start off in the beginning of March, well, late March, the 24th, so it'll be nearly about 2 weeks from now, where they're gonna focus on the Chris Benoit tragedies. Woo! A 2-part episode. Ooh, it's gonna be good, super juicy, detailed and interesting. So look out for that, and a Brawl for All, and a whole lot more. Whew. All right, speaking of that, Matt Hardy announced this past week that he and WWE had come to a terms agreement that he will leave WWE and his contract expired. Where Matt Hardy did even more when he did a tease video with them.
You are the only two that have been able to separate Zenith from my body. There are great higher powers out there that believe in me. And if I believe in them, then I'll have everlasting life, everlasting broken brilliance. Wait. Zenith is infected. Zenith is dying. I need you two to come to the Hardy compound and remove Zenith from my body again. And bury us both. And in the meantime, I'm going to get my affairs in order in case anything goes wrong. Thanks. I'll see you soon.
What's up, Matt?
Bucks of youth, I knew you'd come.
Yeah, Matt Hardy did a tease video with the Young Bucks, seeing that he's weighing his options. He may want to look at all the wrestling promotions, but come on now, man. You're going to do AEW. That's just common sense. AEW, at the end of the day, you're going to be AEW through and through. You know what I'm saying? All right. Also speaking of new Hall of Famer, John Bradshaw Layfield gets inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. It was announced on WWE Backstage. Bradshaw deserved this Hall of Fame induction. Bradshaw does well. Bradshaw stood out from the rest, being the longest reigning champion in SmackDown history at 280 days before that championship ended to John Cena back in 2005 at WrestleMania 21. Given the honors, Cena even gave JBL congratulations. So JBL take his rightful place in the Hall of Fame. Also, Impact Wrestling announced a new deal where they will be doing a TV distribution deal with Discovery India, D-Sport, and they're going to have Impact Plus, stuff like that. So, hey, Impact trying to make some with Broadcast World in India. And we here at the Pro Wrestling Show love the Indian fans. Thank you, India. Love you. Also, MJF gives a fan the middle finger. MJF was trying to sign autographs, and he took it too far with this photo right here. It just makes you know MJF doesn't care. After he coming off that big win off of Cody with his diamond ring, you got to wonder about MJF sometimes. MJF kind of losing his head, losing his cool. He'll get his bridges burnt down the road, I'm telling you. Also, Moose asked a killer question with this.
Up here, you say you don't see a woman as a challenge. I mean, I know you said no offense to Tessa Blanchard, but do you see how that kind of a statement could be taken negatively about how women don't deserve to necessarily be holding the world championship?
I'm not saying she's not deserving to hold the world champion. She's just not a challenge for me. Like, why? I mean, it will be considered bullying if I challenge Tessa because I know I could easily win the world title in less than 5 minutes. And how great does that make me?
Well, but how great?
You know what I'm saying?
Well, but what I'm saying is, how great does that make the Impact World Championship if you feel like you could so easily snap your fingers and take this championship? What does that mean to the credibility of the title if you feel like if that's how you feel towards it at the moment?
For instance, let me put a stamp on like this. If do you follow basketball?
Yeah, I follow. I try to follow sports. I'm not proficient by any stretch.
If all the teams that Michael Jordan beat for his 6 championship rings, right?
Okay.
Was all scrubs. Do you think his legacy would be the same?
Well, but Moose, even when you said that, you just called Tessa vicariously a scrub.
No, I don't think she's a. No, I'm using that in. Okay, let me use a better term. If all the teams that Michael Jordan beat for his 6 championships wasn't, if he swept all those teams 4-0 and there wasn't a challenge and he swept them, what do you think that would make it? Do you think his legacy would be the same?
Well, obviously it wouldn't be, but look, no, I'm
not
saying.
So that's the point I'm making. So if I go after Tessa and I beat Tessa for the world championship and I become the Impact World Champion, would that make my legacy any bigger than what it is? No, it wouldn't do anything for my legacy. It would just say that Moose is a world champion, and then you have to hear the stories of, oh, he's not a great world champion because he beat a girl. So I already know how people are going to react to if I was to go after the title, but I want to do something greater.
I've always been told that every wrestler should want to be the world champion, right? You show up.
Yeah, every wrestler should want to be the world champion, but you should also pick a great way about being the world champion.
Up here, you say you don't see
All right, Moose believes that he does not want to challenge Tessa Blanchard because he don't want to be the first man to defeat a woman and make him look bad. Moose, that's what it's all about, becoming the world champion. If Tessa Blanchard put herself out as the world champion, someone has to defeat her down the road. Whether it's going to be Eddie Edwards or Michael Elgin. I like Michael Elgin, so Michael Elgin might be the one to do it. He don't care. He just want to be a champion. Michael Elgin got the potential to become a world champion. So you know how that go. Speaking of Tessa, congratulations to her and Ty Vacker on their first ever main eventing a women's match for the world title. Speaking of Impact knockouts, Su Yung is a free agent. Yes, Su Yung, but she's still negotiating contract deals to still stay with Impact. So hopefully Su Yung will get that ball rolling. Also, AJ Styles. AJ Styles named PWI's Wrestler of the Decade. Remember, Styles started in 2010 in Impact Wrestling and ended 2009 in WWE. Styles debuted in WWE in 2006. So this was a fitting for AJ Styles as the Wrestler of the Decade because he is that multiversal and being in New Japan and stuff. So AJ Styles takes the nod on that. That's the only person I could see winning it. Also, Colt Cabana joins AEW. Colt Cabana taking his talents to AEW. So Colt Cabana will be wrestling and be helping SUU combat the Dark Order. If Matt Hardy does come and become the Exalted One or whatever they're going to do. Also, and finally, sad news to report that Portland wrestling legend Rip Oliver passed away. Many of you may know Rip Oliver, many of you may not. Rip Oliver was a person who wrestled in Portland wrestling, was a regular Portland wrestler. He did particular acts in WWE with wrestling Roddy Piper, Billy Jack Haynes, all important. So Rip Oliver passed away. He was going to hospice and he died. So our thoughts and prayers are with the family of Rip Oliver at this time. All right. That is Hot Topics. Let's get back to the Elimination Chamber, predict the outcome, the second half. All right. Speaking of AJ Styles is in action at Elimination Chamber. He goes one-on-one against Aleister Black in a no disqualification match. Well, he was supposed to schedule to have a match on Raw this week. AJ kind of dug the boat and put his teammates, Anderson Gallows, to feed off Black. That didn't work to the back. Black combated and Black won the match, but Black got beat down. So it's a no DQ match. Look for AJ Styles to win this match and set up his feud with The Undertaker going forward and stuff. So look out for that. Also in singles match is Drew Gulak versus Daniel Bryan. One-on-one. These two submission technicians get in the ring at Elimination Chamber, and this Drew Gulak's homecoming because he's from Philadelphia. Bryan won a lot of matches in Philadelphia, but he's going to teach Drew Gulak a lesson in respect. Gulak saying that he has a PowerPoint presentation to show Daniel Bryan that he can defeat him, and all these statistics where Gulak was sending Heath Slater and trying to hit since Rockstar Spud, Drew Gulak, what's his name, in it. But I think Daniel Bryan will win this match, and Daniel Bryan will head off to WrestleMania and may go against Gulak once again. And finally, the main event, I believe the main event of Elimination Chamber, the Women's Elimination Chamber match, number one contendership for the Raw Women's title. Who's going to receive a championship match at WrestleMania to meet Becky Lynch one-on-one for the Raw Women's title? Between these women, Natalya, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Ruby Riott, and Sarah Logan. These 6 women put their selves and put their bodies on the line for a shot to compete at WrestleMania. They had single competitions where the Riott Squad somewhat reunited, where Ruby Riott went against Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan was a special guest referee. Sarah Logan was supposed to be fair and impartial. She didn't. She just destroyed both women and let it known that she wants to be the one. I guess Sarah Logan want to be the breakout star out of the Riott Squad. Also, Shayna Baszler went against Asuka, but she had got her little distraction from Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch made a distraction. Becky Lynch trying to distract Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler combated and beat up what's her name, Kairi Singh, with the submission. So Baszler and Kairi Sane had their history as when the NXT Women's title. But Baszler looking forward to this challenge. She wants Becky Lynch, and no wonder she's going to get Becky Lynch. I think Baszler is going to be down to Natalya and Baszler. And Baszler will win the Elimination Chamber going forward to meet Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title. And all the rest of the women will have their roles and stuff like that. But look for Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch one-on-one. Shayna Baszler is going to emerge the winner. All right. Like I said, Elimination Chamber coming your way tonight. Go and watch Elimination Chamber on WWE Network. Man, oh man, it's going to be a full and film roll as the final stop. The WrestleMania stops at Elimination Chamber. I've been your host, Kendrick Dix, saying so long, and we'll see you next week for all new edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time here on the Pro Wrestling Show.